There he is. Jared Gordon in the house. How are you, Flash Gordon?
Good, how you doing?
Pleasure to have you here. As you knock over my flag, Jared.
That was
you. Yeah, that was me. That was me. My bad. My Canadian flag. I have to represent my home country. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I tried to get you on last time, right before your fight. You were flying out to Brazil, but it was a little too tight. This is better.
Yeah, I was like on a crazy schedule, and you were like, "Oh, come in, day of your flight," and I was like, "That's not happening."
How selfish of me.
Yeah, it was pretty selfish.
But you have a month now, a little over a month. You just found out, or at least we found out, that you're fighting in Austin, February 18th against Carlos Diego Ferreira. How do you feel about this fight? You like it?
Oh yeah, I feel like it's a great matchup for me. He's coming off a long layoff. You know, that doesn't always mean that a guy's going to do bad, but I think stylistically it's a great matchup. I know, you know, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he does go for it, you know, standing up, but I know my boxing's better, and I feel that, you know, I'll be able to push the pace on him and break him, and he'll fold. You
mentioned the layoff. The layoff is due to PEDs. He was suspended by USADA. How do you feel about that? Fighting him in his first fight back, and we'll get your history, you know, but it's different. It's not PEDs necessarily, and he had his case, or but like, how do you feel about that? What's your stance?
I mean, you know what? Like, these guys are trying to win, and they can do steroids, and I necessarily don't think that a lot of the steroids people use are going to help them for fighting. A lot of it's, you know, bodybuilding stuff, and it's going to make you look nice. But, you know, I'm not the most shredded guy around, and I think that I'm able to push the pace, and my cardio is usually better than most of the. So far, everyone that I fought, my cardio has been better than theirs, and you know, I'm not like one of those muscle-bound guys, and so I mean, you know, it could help him, it could not help him. Now that he's coming off of it, he might, you know, have been dependent on it at one point or another, and you know, but hey, I'd love to be his first fight back, and and it is what it is. This is our sport, you know. I think every sport there's, you know, cheaters, and that's just the way it is. So it doesn't really matter to me.
I've heard from fighters who say, like, I don't want to fight the guy who's just coming off a suspension. He's a cheater. Why should I have to fight him? So I was just curious if you were, you know, steadfast in those beliefs as well.
I don't care. I mean, I know I fought guys that have been on steroids. He's coming off of them. What's the difference? I know I'm going to win. So that's all I care about. You know?
So I was mentioning at the top, I mean, you're just starting your UFC run. You're 2-0 now in the UFC. You were supposed to fight at 211, so maybe you'd be 3-0 at this point. Although they gave you, you know, they rebooked it a month later. You were supposed to fight, and so like you're still quite at the level now where I feel like not everyone knows who Jared Gordon is in the UFC, right? You've been doing great things on the local scene, but your story, man, is insane. Like yesterday, I was rereading our colleague, or my colleague, Sean Al-Shadi, wrote 2 great stories about you. Did you ever read those stories?
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, that stuff is like someone sitting down and saying, like, what, you know, like people say it all the time, like it's out of a movie, right? It's a movie script. This is your life, and it's amazing. How old are you right now?
I just turned 29.
29. The stuff that you've been through, 29. Are you amazed that you're still here? That you're actually like living a productive life?
Oh yeah.
You're in the UFC.
Oh yeah, I should be dead or in prison. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Sure. Can we start from the beginning?
Sure.
You've told this story, right?
Oh yeah, it's just a long story.
No, but I got a lot of time.
There's a lot of things in between.
I got a lot of time, Jared, but I think it's important that people know this story.
No problem.
Did it start with the fire?
No.
Okay, when did it start?
Well, I think a couple of things brought me into my crazy life. One being that I didn't mention this to Sean at the time. I was at sleepaway camp, and you know, looking back at it now, at the time I didn't realize that this probably turned me into who I am now. But I was raped. By another male, you know, full-on rape. And, you know, that was something that obviously greatly impacted my life. I didn't tell anyone till I was 23. I finally told my parents.
How old were you?
At the time I was 9.
9?
Wow. 8 or 9, yeah. And shortly after that, I came home from camp, you know, acting like everything was normal. I didn't even know that it was like something bad or wrong, or, you know, I was a kid or I was a child. I didn't know what to even think. And I had friends that were a little older than me. They were smoking weed at the time. They were like 12, 13, 14 years old. And, I started smoking weed. I have an older brother as well, so he was kind of like influencing my life. And I began, just doing kid stuff. Like 9 is young to start smoking weed.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's when I started. And, I began drinking also. And, I grew up in a really well-to-do area. I grew up in the North Shore of Long Island in Roslyn Heights.
Okay.
It's a very affluent neighborhood. I didn't come from the projects, I didn't come from, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and, I'm grateful for that. I'm really lucky. But, I just chose to go down this road. So I guess it's a little different, where people that are less fortunate, kind of have no option, I guess you can say. I had plenty of options and plenty of sources, and I could have got all the help that I wanted. Mm-hmm. But I just chose to be, I wouldn't say a bad person, but I just chose to do wrong things. And so my addiction progressed fast as a kid. I was using narcotics at a young age. I was doing criminal-like things, which were, at the time I thought were cool, but any criminal or like, it's for losers, if you're gonna be like living that lifestyle. And I partied and I did, all like the regular kid stuff, drinking beers in the woods, like girls, having fun. And then my father's store burned down when I was 12.
Can I pause you there for a second? Sure. Do you think that you smoked the weed to forget what happened at summer camp? Do you think if what happened at summer camp doesn't happen, you don't even try the weed? Or was that always going to happen, you think?
I think it was always going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
What happened to that guy?
So, well, I guess I could.
You want to get, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll get
sure,
to that.
Sorry.
Get to that. So I was 12 years old. It was Father's Day, Sunday afternoon, quiet Father's Day. I remember being in my room and I'm laying on my bed and the phone rings and my mom answers and all of a sudden she's screaming, Rob, my father is Rob, the store's on fire. So we all jump in the car, we rush to Queens, Long Island City. I was living in Nassau at the time, and we get there and his building is ablaze. And there was exploded and 3 firemen were trapped in the rubble and dozens got injured. The 3 firemen died.
Oh, wow.
And it was called the Father's Day Fire. It was one of the deadliest fires in New York City. It was the deadliest fire in New York City since 1969. So this is 2001, right before 9/11. And then obviously 9/11 happened and that kind of took the cake.
Yeah.
But so that was like a huge moment in our life. My father just lost his business.
Completely gone.
The whole thing was gone.
And why did it go on? Why was it on fire?
There was 2 kids who, them and their father lived in an illegal apartment that backed my father's building. And they were back there spray painting. They were doing what they call fire graffiti, where you put gasoline on the wall, and you graffiti over it and you light it on fire, and the spray paint burns into the brick. So the only way to remove it is to remove the actual brick. Turpentine is not gonna, so whatever. They kicked one of the gas cans over and it rolled down a ramp, which led into the basement of my father's store. And that was like a loading dock. And right under the door, 2 feet away, was the boiler. Wow. And so whoever installed the boiler in the 50s or 40s, the building was there since 1870.
Wow.
Installed it incorrectly. It's supposed to be sitting on a platform that's like 24 to 36 inches off the floor. These people installed it and it was only 2 inches off the floor. So the water pilot was sitting right on the floor. So when the gas rolled down, the fumes raised a little bit and the whole place ignited. Wow. But so there was like thousands of aerosol cans and flammable products and liquids in the basement. The FDNY came, they knocked through the back door and they're trying to put the fire out. Now there was pressure being created from the fire in the basement. And all the tops of the aerosol cans, the firemen actually said they heard them all popping off, pop, 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 and they could hear the gases being, it was leaking out of all the cans. And the boiler was there. There was all sorts of propane tanks and all sorts of ridiculous things in the basement. And so now the firemen are on the street level trying to break through the front of the building. You know, everything is closed. It's Father's Day, so they have to get through the roll-up gates, then the door. So they finally get in, they rush to the basement door, and when they open the basement door, they created a backdraft, which is like a fireman's worst nightmare. And the whole, all that oxygen from the door opening just ignited into a bomb, and it blew out the whole front of the store.
Wow.
So a lot of the guys that were, on the first floor, they fell in. The guys that were already in the basement got covered by the first floor rubble. And 3 guys got stuck in there, and 60, I think, something firemen were injured.
Wow.
Mayor Giuliani was there. He watched it burn down with us.
You're standing there watching
Yeah, I'm standing there watching it with my family. Well, they actually had us blocks away now because the place just exploded.
Wow, and you're 12?
12 years old, yeah. So I'm there with my mother, or my whole family.
I'm sure your mom and dad are very emotional.
Oh yeah, crying. My dad.
What's it like seeing that?
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was my grandfather's business.
Oh wow.
Handed it down to my father and his brother.
Was he there, your grandfather?
No, he passed away.
Okay.
At that point, the year before, and my uncle lives a couple blocks away. So him and all my cousins and family were there, and all the people that work in the business live in the area, so they're all there, and the whole neighborhood was there. It rattled, it like shook the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that was a huge moment because now my father lost millions of dollars. He's being sued by the widows of the firemen.
Oh my God.
It was the widows of the firemen versus New York City and Robin and Randy Gordon. Randy's my uncle. So we couldn't afford to live in Long Island anymore. So now my father's like, all right, well, let's move to Astoria. We're right next to the business. It's way cheaper. They need to be close now because they're rebuilding. And they wind up rebuilding down the block on a bigger lot. They made a huge store. It's beautiful. The trial and all the paperwork and all the lawsuits and the whole thing took 12 years.
No way.
To finalize. They had the trial in 2012 or 2013.
Whoa.
It was like one of the longest trials in New York City history. It was like 30 or 40-day trial. And it was crazy. It had like scientists from NASA trying to explain how the fire happened and there were so many details and things. And
did you go to it?
I went to a couple days.
Okay.
At the time I was deep in my addiction, so I was kind of like in and out, you know. But so whatever. I moved to Queens, huge culture shock for me. I'm going to school with all Irish, Italian, and Jewish kids, and now I'm in school with an eclectic group of people. A huge culture shock, like I said, and I was already getting high, having fun, doing my thing, and I graduate high school, and oh, by the way, I used like the fire and the moving to Queens as like a reason to rebel as a young kid. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to leave all my friends. So it was just like a snowball effect of things, that I was going through as a young kid. And I was a bad kid though. When I was in school, I was a terror. Anything I could do to get in trouble and to have fun, I did it. Suspensions, just kid stuff. And that was just me though. Me and my brother, all my friends. That's just the way we were.
Your brothers were the same?
I'm sorry?
Your brothers were the same as you?
Oh, well, actually, my younger brother is an angel.
Okay.
But my older brother was also really bad. He was a recovering heroin addict also.
Okay.
He's got 7 years clean. I only got 2.
Okay.
So I kind of dragged out a little longer than him.
Any sisters?
No sisters.
Okay, so 3 of you.
Three boys, yeah. So I graduated high school. I didn't want to go to college. I actually got accepted to LIU for the pharmacy program, which probably wouldn't have been a good idea because I was addicted to pills at the time. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do something physical. I wrestled in middle school. My grandfather was a pro boxer. I wanted to box. I boxed a little as a kid. So UFC at the time was blowing up. It was 2007. I was watching Frankie Edgar. I was in love with the sport. And I wanted to do something physical. So I found Rhino Fight Team, which is on Steinway Street in Astoria, or Long Island City. And I started training. 4 months later, I had my first amateur fight. And it took off from there. I fell in love with the sport.
You loved it.
Oh, I loved it. I had my first amateur fight. I won. Had my second fight. I won, but I hurt my neck. And I got addicted to painkillers. So that's when like everything started to really get bad for me.
How'd you hurt your neck?
Just training.
Okay.
Someone put me in like a guillotine or something, and
okay.
And that was that.
What kind of pills?
Vicodin.
Okay.
Percocet, Vicodin.
Who introduced you to that?
My friends were selling them. He said, "Oh, your neck hurts. Here, take some pills."
It worked.
It worked. Yeah, it was great. Then OxyContin came into my area, and that was like a huge epidemic, you know, across the country. Got addicted to OxyContin, and that's when it really started to get bad for me. I went to rehab for the first time when I was 21. I had no intentions on getting clean at all. Came out.
Who sent you there?
Oh, my parents.
They knew about this.
Oh, yeah.
Were you living with them?
Yeah, I was living with them.
How'd they find out?
Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, I was just a mess, and I was living like a horrible lifestyle, and I didn't care about anything but having fun and money and girls and all the stupid stuff that comes along with living that lifestyle. And, you know, I was also nodding out at the dinner table and and on the couch, and my parents aren't stupid, you know, they're not naive at all. So they knew what was going on. So when I went to rehab, I met a couple people in there that when I came out, I wound up hanging out with them. I went to rehab in Florida, but I also wound up relocating to Florida to train at the Black Zillions. And
what year is this?
2002. No, I'm 2012.
12, okay.
2012, yeah. Or 2011. No, I just turned 2012.
This is still very early in your career.
Oh, yeah. I was actually at this point already 1-0 as a pro.
Okay.
So I moved down there. But of course, these people live right next to the Black Zillions, literally like a couple blocks from where the training center was.
Wow.
So, you know, I knew no one down there. So who am I going to hang out with? Well, I'll hang out with the kids. I still want to get high. I might as well hang out with the kids that I went to rehab with. And they introduced me to needles.
How long were you in rehab for?
I was there for 17 days and I left early.
You could just leave whenever you want?
Well, what they called AMA. It's basically leaving against medical advice.
Okay.
So I left on against medical advice. So I AMA'd and I went back to New York.
Did you get high while you were in rehab?
I left. I went to Miami, got high.
But not like during the 17 days?
No. I was clean for 17 days, yeah. And then I came home, decided I want to train at the Black Zillions, and I went down there.
Okay.
So now I'm shooting pills, OxyContin, and I'm training at the Black Zillions. I was in and out. I wasn't really training hard. But man, I remember it was Rashad Evans just became champion. He just beat T. Ortiz, I think, or someone. He beat someone for the Forrest Griffin for the light heavyweight title.
Yep.
And they had a bunch of monsters in there. Anthony Johnson, Michael Johnson.
It was like the height of the Black Zillions.
It was the height of the Black Zillions. Yeah, all the big guys were down there. Bigfoot Silva, all these guys, whatever.
Yeah.
So, actually, when I was there one day training, and I'm wrestling with Michael Johnson, and I remember we're like wrestling, and he stands up, and he's got this face on, and I'm like, what is this? And so I look up, I turn around, and there's detectives on the mat, and they're like, are you Jared Gordon? I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And they're like, you're being arrested for home invasion, robbery, and felony battery. And
arrested at the Black Zillions.
In the Black Zillions, the detectives came on the mat with their shoes on, and everyone's there. Rashad, Melvin Gillard was there, Anthony Johnson, Henry Hooft was there.
Yeah.
I forget Mike Van Arsdale was the coach.
Yeah.
So they're all looking at me like, "What did you do?" You know, and so it was a really embarrassing moment for me because no one knew who I was.
You were just a guy.
I was just a kid. 21 or 22, whatever.
They
cuffed you. 1-0 as a pro. They cuffed me on the mat and they take me to jail.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so I allegedly broke into someone's house and robbed them. The guy was a drug dealer. I may or may have not committed the crime. I'll leave it up to your imagination.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, I got arrested for it, but I could have or couldn't have done. I may have done it. I may not have done it.
Okay. Do you remember if you did? Like, do you remember the night?
Maybe.
Okay.
I might,
Well, just because like maybe you're under the influence, so maybe you have no recollection.
I remember the night that they say that I did it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was facing 25 to life.
Really?
I was in
Just you?
My buddy also, but they didn't catch him.
Okay. So you were the only one arrested as a result of this?
Yes.
Okay.
So the person claims that I broke into their house while they were sleeping and robbed them. But he was a drug dealer. He was a 2-time convicted felon.
Wow.
So he was supposed to testify against me in court. I was in jail for 3 weeks. I got bonded out. I went to court, and the kid never showed up to testify against me.
Wow.
So if he did, I probably would be sitting, I would only be like 5 years into my sentence right now, or 6 years or something like that.
He never showed up?
He never showed up because he was wanted for drug charges, so he knew he could come to court and testify against me, but he would get arrested also.
Oh my God.
So right then and there, they threw the case out because they knew we're not going to get anything out of this. These are all, these kids are all junkies.
But why'd he call the cops on you in the first place if he has...
So apparently, whatever happened that night at the house, there was a huge ruckus and the neighbors called the police.
Wow.
So when the neighbors came, this kid, these guys broke into my house. I'm just a regular person. Meanwhile, the kid's a drug dealer. So, I mean, that was like a huge pivotal moment for me because I was like, all right, this is starting to get bad. I'm actually like getting arrested for really, really horrible crimes. And
did your parents know?
Yeah, my parents knew, of course. I called them they weren't too happy with that.
Did they visit you?
My mother actually came down and What
was that like?
It was horrible because I remember being in, shackles and a blue jumpsuit. I'm in felony court. I was in they called it Section C of Gun Club, which was the county jail. It was a maximum security holding. And I was in court, and they arraigned me, and they said no bond because I was a flight risk. So they didn't want to give me bail because they thought I might run because I'm from New York. Wow. I wasn't a Florida resident.
Right.
And I remember looking back at my mother, and she's sitting in the stands and she's crying. And
wow.
I just turned away and walked back into the jail, whatever.
Were you alone in jail, or were you with
I
other
was
guys?
alone, yeah.
They put you by yourself?
Yeah, I was with the murderers and the armed robbers and the rapists. And
what was it like, 3 weeks there?
It was horrible, man. It was freezing, cold. I've been in jail before in New York.
For what?
Just for overnight, just for possessions. And
okay.
Driving with suspended license.
How many times?
I got arrested 8 times, directly or indirectly because of drugs and alcohol.
Prior to this?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there were a lot of them were criminal acts or whatever, but I did them because, I wanted money or I needed drugs or I was selling things. And, so all of this is like, it might sound like I'm glorifying it, but I'm not.
No.
I think it's really, if you're living this way, you're living wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're doing you're poisoning the community, you're selling drugs, you're destroying people's lives,
Yeah.
And so like, I'm just telling my story.
I appreciate it very much, yeah.
So the day I got bonded out of jail, I actually was like, well, I got to get high because I was dope sick the whole time.
The day you left?
Yeah.
Did anything happen in jail? Like any incidents?
I fended off a couple Haitian gang members, but yeah, I was all right.
They came after you?
they
know you're a fighter?
I don't know if they knew I was a fighter.
Okay.
They wanted my food. I wasn't going to give it up.
Damn.
So, but you have to realize, like, a lot of these people are just waiting for sentences or what's going to happen. So no one really wants to act out because they don't want to put more time on. If I would have went to prison, it would be different because that's when people they already know that they have life in prison. They'll kill you because they got nothing to lose.
Damn.
So where I was we were still in county where it was like, exactly. So I got out that night, went overdosed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Overdosed?
That was my first overdose, yeah.
Okay. On what?
Heroin.
Okay.
Yeah. I was shooting heroin with my friend. I remember shooting it halfway through the shot. I'm like, this feels funny. F it. Shot the rest of it. And I woke up in an ambulance. Couldn't move my right arm or the right side of my face.
What does funny feel like? When you say funny, what does that feel like?
It just felt like not a normal heroin shot.
Because you had taken it before.
Yeah, I've shot plenty of heroin.
It just didn't feel the same way.
It felt like really strong and like I was like, it was hitting me like super fast, like way harder than it normally would have. and I just went under.
And you say, like, did you want to die? Were you trying to kill yourself?
No, I wasn't trying to kill myself. I just wanted to get high.
You just didn't care at that point.
Yeah, I didn't care.
Right.
I just wanted to, make sure it was a good shot.
Okay.
And it was the easiest thing I ever did.
What do you mean?
The whole, you watch a movie where someone overdoses, it looks like a terrible scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel any of that.
Yeah,
It's just
boom,
a warm blanket and you close your eyes and that's it.
Wow.
So I remember waking up and being like, oh, what happened? And
you're in the hospital now.
Yeah. And I can't move my arm, can't move my face.
Wow.
Once I I could finally start moving again, I just ripped the IV out.
Come on.
Went on my way.
You just left?
Yeah.
Who sent you to the hospital?
Well, my friend called the ambulance. I overdosed in the Hard Rock Casino parking lot in Hollywood, Florida.
Okay.
So I guess I got taken out of the parking lot.
But he called?
Yeah, my friend called and left me there and waited for the ambulance to come.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, I didn't care though. And I wasn't ready and I didn't have the knowledge that I needed to get clean.
Okay.
So my life basically went on like that for a couple of years.
Wow.
I would go into rehab, homeless shelters. I would be panhandling, homeless in New York, homeless in Florida. Panhandling is one of the most belittling things you could do.
You're on the street?
Oh yeah, on the street, panhandling.
New York City?
New York City and Delray Beach, Florida, which is the rehab capital of the world. And it's belittling, man, when people give you dirty looks and I'm like a Jewish kid from Long Island. No, you can't look at me like that. You know what I mean? I had a sense of entitlement. Meanwhile, I got track marks.
Wow.
And I did a lot of things that were really belittling, go to crack houses and they're like, oh, you're a cop. And I'm like, I'm not a cop. And they're like, and I'm like, look at my arms. And they're like, oh, he's a junkie. So give him some crack or whatever he wanted. And I was doing things that were really, wow, I can't believe this is what I'm doing.
Right. Do you ever have those moments, but you can't get out of it? You're thinking to yourself, I can't believe it?
Basically, you just don't care at that point. But when the fog clears, then you look back at it all and you're like, wow, what was I doing? So.
Are you ever sitting in January, now, sitting outside, asking for money or in order to sleep? Was it ever this bad where you're just freezing?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Maybe not in 1 degree weather.
Yeah.
But in cold weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty extreme out there.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But anytime I realized, all right, it's going to be really cold the next couple of days, I better find a place to go. I would go to a homeless shelter or a crisis center.
Okay.
Or I would go to a hospital and be like, oh, I want to kill myself. And they have to take you in.
Wow.
Bring you in a psych ward.
Did you ever think
I knew how to play the system,
What about going home?
Oh, I wasn't allowed home.
You weren't invited? You weren't welcome?
They weren't going to let me home.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents, they did that to me and my brother because we didn't want to take the help they were offering.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, if you're not going to take our help, then you got to get out.
Wow. And where's your brother?
I'm sorry?
Where's your brother in all this? Because he's a junkie too,
He's
right?
already sober at this point.
Oh, he is?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He got clean. He's coming up on 7 years this month. And he went to rehab once, got clean, and that was it. I dragged it out. I went to rehab 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So I finally went away to long-term treatment. I went away for 6 months. Came out, had another about 14 months clean, had a shoulder surgery after my sixth pro fight.
Who's paying for the surgery?
I had health insurance.
Okay.
Still, through my father, luckily.
Wow. He didn't cut that off?
No. I needed it for rehab and stuff, so I guess he kind of held on to that. But, my parents never gave up on me, though. Even though they kicked me out, if I wanted help, they would still help me.
Okay.
They didn't, my mother is Sicilian, so you know how that is when you have an Italian mom. They're like, I'm a mama's boy, so
yeah.
they weren't gonna just let me go. And if I was gonna die, I was gonna die. But they weren't gonna, they didn't want me to die in their house and know that they didn't do anything about it. But they weren't. If I needed help, they weren't gonna turn their back on me if I wanted the help. So I went to treatment, got clean, had a shoulder surgery, relapsed again. Then I got another 1.5 years clean. I'm fighting throughout all this. I'm 9-0 now.
9-0, wow.
As a pro. I'm fighting for the CFFC featherweight title against Jeff Lentz, who's the Ultimate Fighter alumni.
Yep.
I'm winning the fight up on all the judge scorecards. Jeff knees me in my face, perfect knee, breaks my face. I end up in the head trauma unit. I had to put a plate in my face, and I'm a year and a half clean. Now I'm getting IV Dilaudid, which is opiates, morphine and Dilaudid. And I'm there for 7 days. They're giving it to me every 4 hours. I relapse again after that.
Did they know that you were?
Oh, I told the doctors, my parents were there with me, and they're like, well, that's nice and all, but
They got to help you.
you need surgery. And I never actually heard a doctor explain it this way, but they said, if we don't give you painkillers to control your pain levels, healing won't occur. We need like all your muscles to relax so the swelling comes down, because my face was out to here.
Yeah.
And I had 5 breaks under my eye. I had 3 breaks in my nose. And I was in bad shape. So, and I had to have surgery like that that was Saturday night. That Monday morning I had surgery. They replaced my orbital floor with a metal plate.
Wow.
So, and I had to stay there for another 5 days there. And the pain was the most pain I've ever been in my life. And I've been in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And they're shooting me up. But, so the times that I did get clean before that, I wasn't doing anything to keep myself sober, like the things I do now. Like I go to AA, I have an AA sponsor. I try to help other addicts and alcoholics. And so basically I was just what they call white knuckling it, which is when you just do it on your own. And like the only thing that kept me clean was MMA. Like I have to stay clean because I won't have a career.
Yeah.
I wasn't like doing anything self-help wise. So now like I have different coping mechanisms when I have problems. Anything bad that comes up, if I have anxiety, something crappy happens, I'm not just gonna run to the needle. I'm able to say, all right, like take a step back and play the tape through and get advice from people that I know are gonna give me the right advice. Mm-hmm. So it's different now because, I'm able to deal with situations where beforehand I would say, let me call and get some drugs, and so now, I went to rehab, 2 years ago.
So the face injury, then you relapse, right?
Relapse, hardcore, worst run I've ever had in my life, meaning like worst time of using drugs I've ever had.
How long did that last?
It was about 6 months.
Why was it the worst? Like just everything?
Well, I hit a lot of like physical bottoms before. Okay. Like overdoses and going to jail and being in all the crappy institutions and being homeless. But this time was like I was in mental anguish. Okay. Like I can't even explain to you the feelings and the things that were going through my mind and just the feeling. It was complete despair and anguish and like it was just incomprehensible demoralization of life. Wow. And I was like using heavy heroin and coke, IV, everything, and I was kicked out of my house. So I'm homeless again. I'm going motel to motel. Finally, I have my 3rd overdose. I wake up again with NYPD and FDNY around me, and I'm in an ambulance. I'm going to the hospital. It's December 26th, 2 years ago.
2015?
2015.
Okay. It's not that long ago.
No, it was only 2 years.
Wow.
So.
Where'd they find you?
All right, so I was in a motel in right across the street from Queensbridge Projects. I was shooting cocaine and heroin for about 5 days. I was like in complete psychosis.
By yourself?
By myself. I must have shot up and I fell over into like a desk and a lamp. And whoever was next door, thank God they were there, called front desk saying, I just heard like a huge crash. Really? They called the cops. They came upstairs, ripped me out. I was really lucky too because I still had a lot of drugs on me. And the cops, I was like, they're like, we're bringing you to the hospital. I'm like, well, where's my drugs? No way. This is what I say to the cops. Wow. And they're like, yeah, we're taking that. I'm like, am I going to jail? And they were like, no, it's Christmas, we all want to go home. We don't want to do paperwork and bring you to jail. We're just going to bring you to the hospital and cut you loose there.
Wow.
I was like, oh, great. So I go to the hospital. I come out. I'm still like, oh, I still want to get high.
How long were you in the hospital for?
2 days. I woke up 2 days later.
2 days?
Yeah.
You were out for 2 days?
I was unconscious for 2 days, yeah.
Wow. If those people don't call...
I die.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a sleazy motel in Queensbridge Projects.
Wow. Okay.
So I wake up, rip the IV out of my arm again. I go home, I catch a cab, I ring my doorbell. I don't know where my sneakers are. I have no sneakers.
No way.
So I'm like, well, I don't have any other sneakers. I better go try to get sneakers at
It's the winter.
my room. It's winter time.
Yeah.
And my parents had no idea where I was for the last 2 weeks. I made their Christmas miserable. I made their last 5-6 years miserable. And they opened the door and their faces were like, they looked at me with like, it was terrible. My younger brother too, who's here, he was just in disbelief. And
They thought you were dead?
well, they had no idea where I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if they thought I was dead. It was a possibility. So they're like, well, we're not letting you in. We'll give you clothes and sneakers. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to go to rehab. Because at this point now, I'm really feeling it. I'm like, well, this is not what I want. I'm 9-1 now. I still have a career. And I was just hurting too many people. And I just had enough. At the time, I was also like, before that happened, I was trying to get sober. I had a guy who was helping me. He'd bring me to Detox and I would leave, and he'd bring me to Detox and I'd leave. I'd go to rehab and I'd leave, and I kept relapsing. And so I called him. He got me into rehab one more time, into Detox. I went to Detox. I went back to rehab for the 10th time. And I came out and I said, I'm done with this. I just hit a point where I wouldn't call it an epiphany, but at that point it was just black and white for me. It was either I was gonna keep getting high and die or go to prison, or I was gonna live a normal life and get healthy and better. And I didn't want, it was more like, when I saw my parents' faces that morning, at this point it was for them. I don't even care about myself at this point, but I'm sick of hurting everyone else.
That was a turning point.
That was a turning point for me. And the guy that was helping me get into Detox.
How bad is Detox?
Like actually detoxing?
Yeah.
Well, I've done it cold turkey and I've done it with drug assistance, and they both suck really terribly bad. Mm-hmm. It's like having the flu times 10 with like major depression.
Okay. How long does it last?
The initial like acute, or like the initial like detox, like the terrible feeling is like about I would say a week or to 10 days, maybe longer.
Okay.
But they have something called PAWS, which is post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which lasts for months.
Wow.
So it goes on for, you don't sleep. If you shoot heroin like the way I shoot heroin, you won't sleep when you get off for at least 3 weeks, a month and a half. Maybe like 2 hours a night, 1 hour a night. You just can't sleep. Like,
wow.
So you're so used to being numb and passing out that now you're like, it's like you got dependent on something that was making you sleep.
Yeah.
Now you don't have it and you're like wide awake,
Were you ever close to going back?
After this time?
Yeah.
No.
Nothing ever happened?
Like, obviously the thought of drugs came into my mind. It still does, because you hear it all the time. When someone talks about drugs, then I think about the past.
Right.
So, I mean, like, thinking about it comes into my head, but acting on it has not happened.
Okay.
But that's also because I have, boundaries. I have like guardrails that keep me on the road that I need to be on.
Okay.
So now I'm going to AA. I'm doing certain things to help myself. I'm working with other people, other alcoholics and addicts that know how to stay clean and live life. And I'm doing all the things that I can to stay clean. I get back in the gym and train my ass off for months. I get another crack at the CFFC title. I won by head kick the first round against a veteran, and Anthony Morrison, who fought in WEC and Bellator and
Cheesecake.
Cheesesteak.
That's right.
Yeah. Knocked him out in the first round. take a 2-week short notice fight against DeJuan Pickney. Choke him out in the second round, rear naked choke. Then I fight Bill Algeo, on the Dana White looking for a fight show. And I whip his ass, and they signed me.
But weren't you supposed to fight Jeff Lentz again?
Yeah, I was supposed to, but he was going to fight me, then he didn't, it never happened. Then he fought Bill Algeo. Mm-hmm. Bill beats him, and then I fight Bill, beat Bill.
So there wasn't a situation where you were going to fight him and your coach pulled the fight the night before?
Oh, yeah. So that was actually before I went to rehab for the last time. It was Halloween weekend. I was at the Borgata Hotel and Casino, cutting weight. I'm getting ready to get down to weight and fight Bill. And my coach looks at my arms, Jeff. Yeah. Coach looks at my arms. They're all tracked up. I'm sitting in the bathtub trying to make weight. And he's like, "You think I'm gonna let you fight like this? You're out of your mind. You think I'm gonna let you get in the cage and you're getting high?" Like, I'm shooting dope like that day, you know?
Wow.
And I was like, well, I just want to fight this guy. I don't care. But they wouldn't let me do it. So that's why they pulled me from.
Wow. Did you freak out? Were you mad at your coach for doing that?
No. Actually, I was supposed to fight Bill that day.
Okay.
I pulled out on Bill. But I was supposed to fight Jeff before that, but he had hurt his knee and the fight didn't happen. And then I was supposed to fight Bill. I pulled out on Bill.
Okay.
So.
What was your coach's name?
Jason Strout.
And are you still with him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's like, he's an amazing human. He's quite the person. He has like a no crap attitude. He doesn't care what your problem is or what your situation is. If you're not going to work hard and do what you need to do, then he doesn't want to deal with you. Okay. And that's the kind of person I need, you know. Otherwise, I would do it my way.
Right.
Know? And when I do it my way, I tend to screw things up. So if it wasn't for Jason and my other coaches now, I wouldn't be where I am. Uh-huh. He has brought me to a whole new levels in my career. And he's the head coach at Church Street Boxing Gym, which is right here.
Yep.
And he's been my coach since my second pro fight. The fight that I lost to Jeff, he actually was cornering Felipe Nova in Manila, so he wasn't even there for it. And I barely actually trained with him for that fight. I decided to go to Cerrone's house in New Mexico and train there for a month. I came back and he was just like, "You look like shit." He went to Manila. I fought Jeff. I had Liam McGee and Dave Branch corner me, and I lost the fight, even though I was winning it. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't there. So the one fight that he didn't corner me and I lost. And he's taken me to all new levels. So I have to thank him and my other coach, Mike Jaramillo, who is John Danaher's first black belt. And he's brought my MMA grappling to a whole new level. And Cody Hammer, who is my wrestling coach. So, he's Damian Mai's wrestling coach as well. Yeah.
Yeah, in Jersey.
Yeah, at Edge.
Edge. Yeah. So Dana White does the show. Sarah, Dean Thomas are there. You look good. You go to the back. He says, "We'll give you the call." We see it on, but he kind of takes a shot a bit about your personality.
Yeah, because he was like,
"You should be more excited" or something.
Yeah, he was like, "So you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got nothing else, you know." And
right.
He's like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And Matt Serra's like, "Oh, don't be so excited." And I'm like, "Well, what do you want me to do? Get on my knees?"
Right.
You know, and it's really cool to be signed to UFC, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. How many people get signed to UFC and in 2 fights they're gone?
Yeah.
How many people get to UFC and they're B-class fighters still?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Dana handed me $1 million that day,
sure.
then yeah, I'd be happy.
Life-changing.
Or when I win the UFC championship, then I'll be happy. But getting to UFC doesn't mean anything to me. Even right now, I'm 2-0 in the UFC. It means nothing. I'm broke, you know. I'm super hungry. No one knows me, and big deal. I'm 2-0 in UFC. How many people go 4-0 in UFC, 5-0 in UFC? They lose 3 straight and they're gone. Yeah. So let me get a couple years under my belt in UFC, and then I'll act excited. I knew I was going to get into UFC. It wasn't a if, it was a when. So Dana, took a shot at me. At least he did say, he was like, you don't need personality to fight, and Jared can fight. So
When you saw that, what did you think though?
oh, I laughed. Me and everyone, because like, I know I have personality, and all my friends know. And
Also,
family.
you have like one of the craziest backstories of all time.
Yeah,
I mean, if
yeah,
people
yeah.
can't
I
relate-
guess I don't think Dana knows.
Of course.
Yeah,
That's kind of the irony. Of course, he probably didn't know, but
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Yeah,
I don't think he knows now either.
Right.
I haven't seen him since then, basically. Or
Really?
I saw him at the athlete retreat, and I had just missed weight, and I didn't even fight yet. So who am I to him? You know.
Right.
So, you know, my life is like this, man.
Yeah.
It's all like.
And so you're broke right now.
I mean,
Where do you live?
I have a couple of bucks in my pocket,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
of
for my
course.
fights, but I'm not like able to like live lavishly.
Sure.
You know.
You live with your parents?
I live in my family's house in Astoria, Queens. Yeah. I mean,
are your parents still there?
yeah.
Okay.
And like, I mean, it's cool. We have a big townhouse.
Same-
My dad still
same
does
house?
well. Well, the house that we moved into, yeah.
Like from after the fire?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a nice, it's a beautiful house. They
Yeah.
completely redid it.
Yeah.
My mom's an interior designer, so it's nice.
Yeah.
And they go to their summer house like 3 or 4 days a week. So it's usually just me and my younger brother there
Okay.
in a big house. I don't have to pay rent, but I can't afford to pay rent in New York,
Right. Of
especially in New
course.
York City,
Yeah.
unless I want to move to the hood.
And you get meals?
Yeah, my mom's Sicilian. She cooks great food. So I mean, like, I'm grateful to be where I am right now. For me, I just have to bust my ass and you know, nothing really has been given to me in MMA. I've had to work pretty hard. I do have a lot of help. Like, I have great support in my career, my coaches, my managers, the people that have helped me get to where I am now. So like, I've been blessed as far as that, but I gotta, you know, just like anyone else, I gotta bust my ass, man. Like, I'm not getting that much push, like,
Sure.
which is fine, because who am I?
So since that night, that Christmas night motel, you haven't used sober
Nope.
since then?
I just got 2 years sober on the 27th of December.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you afraid of going back, or do you feel like
Yeah. I mean, I'm terrified of getting high again, because I know that I'll die. So it's like weird, because like sometimes I'll think about drugs and kind of like, especially with people that have used the same drugs as me and used them the same way that I use them, we'll like reminisce almost. The same feeling that like gets me excited to like, oh wow, like imagine if I got high again, how good it would feel, is the same feeling that absolutely like disgusts me. So it's like I know it would feel amazing, but I know that I would just like, you know, crap the bed again if I got high.
so you're around people who still
No. People that are sober.
Okay,
that use
gotcha.
drugs.
Okay.
No, I don't hang around with people that are getting high, and if they are getting high, it's because I'm trying to help them.
Okay.
I don't hang around in that kind of.
And has anyone ever told you like maybe this isn't the right profession for you because what if you get hurt again?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Every doctor, every person that doesn't know me, my family fully supports what I do.
Yeah.
I could walk out of your studio and break my leg, and I might have to get painkillers.
Sure.
So who cares if I fight and I get hurt? And I get hurt. I just gotta cope with it.
Okay.
You know? In a healthy manner. So.
Wow. What a story. That is unbelievable. How many times have you told that story?
A lot. It gets monotonous. I'm not gonna lie. It's a long story.
It's a long story.
And there's so many things in between.
You skipped a lot of stuff?
Oh God! Like, we'd be here for days.
Really?
Yeah. So.
I feel I have to ask you about the first thing you said at the story that you said you were going to get to.
Oh, all right.
Summer camp.
So the first time I went to rehab, I was reading an article in the newspaper about this pornography ring that got busted. And I'm reading, and there's the guy that raped me.
Wow.
He gets caught in a child pornography ring.
Wow.
And so I contacted my parents, and I was like, look, and I was sober at the time. I'm like, I got to get this off my chest. I better tell someone. This is the first time that I'm telling them this. And I'm like, look, this is what happened to me as a kid. This is the guy right here. He just got arrested for this. What should we do? So while I'm in rehab, we're in talks with the FBI, and they wanted me to testify against him in court to put him away. I couldn't bring myself to see him again face to face.
Wow.
So they asked us to write a letter to the judge about what happened to me, and they would use it as evidence against him. So I wrote him a letter. They gave it to the judge, and he's doing 8 years.
8 years?
That's it.
That's it?
Because like he got caught in a child pornography ring. I don't know exactly what his part was, but he got 8 years.
You remembered his name. You read it. You remembered it. Where was the camp?
In Pennsylvania. It's called Camp Canadensis.
It was like one of those sleepaway camps.
Sleepaway camp.
Regular camp.
Like a Jewish sleepaway camp.
Really?
Everyone's Jewish.
I went to those.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know you were a brother.
I'm a half a Jew, man.
Half. But
my father's a Jew. My mother's Sicilian.
usually you go with the mom, though.
Yeah.
You identify with
Judaism. But my mom converted to
Judaism. She did? Okay.
I'm a Jew, man.
Before
I didn't have bar mitzvah.
You didn't?
No, I went to Hebrew school, though.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. It was weird. Like, we lived in Long Island. I went to Hebrew school. Then we moved to Queens and we, like, turned Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put up a Christmas tree.
Now you do.
My mom, like, she still
no Hanukkah, no menorah, no nothing? No.
We used to, dude. Menorahs.
We don't have a lot of Jews in this game. You can really own that market.
I know. You know what? Like,
smart. You know, like back in the day, 1900s.
I am a Jew, though. I didn't have a bar mitzvah.
That's fine.
But I was still born to 2 Jewish parents.
We'll accept you.
All right.
Like in the early days of fighting, there were a lot of Jews. Like
in boxing, yeah.
Yeah, boxing. That's what I mean,
Max
of course.
Bear.
Yeah.
I know.
It was a big deal.
I know. It was my
You've got the nose?
Yeah. Well, it's been broken 1,000 times.
Sure, but
my brother out there, you should see his nose.
Really?
He doesn't fight in his nose, yeah. He's laughing at your picture.
Which, my big nose.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Of course. I'm proud of it. You got to own it. But it's fascinating that your older brother and you have had these issues and you say he's an angel. It didn't go down to him.
No, he saw what we did and said, I don't want any part of this.
You blazed the wrong trail and then he decided I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done with this.
Wow.
I need this. Yeah, so he builds custom guitars for all the famous people.
Custom what?
Guitars.
Guitars?
He's like a very, he's a luthier.
A luthier?
Which is like a guitar builder.
Okay.
And he builds custom guitars. He sold them to Keith Urban. He sold them to the CCO of LG. He sells them all over Japan, all over America.
Wow, good for him.
He's quite a talented kid. Yeah,
and what does your older brother do?
Ironically, he owned a drug rehab in Florida.
Owned?
Yeah. So he went down there, got clean, and fell into a brand new company that was growing. He grew with the company. They opened up a rehab center, and they just sold it, actually.
Oh.
And now he, I don't know what he does. We're close, but like he just opened up some new company. It's like they make logos on everything for everything. Like if you want a mug or like if you're like a dentist or if you're like an orthodontist and you want to have like your logo on like a little pack with a toothbrush and toothpaste, like he'll put a logo on anything for you, t-shirts, this, that.
Okay.
So, and he's got a whole bunch of other stuff going on, but he's another huge part of my sobriety as well. I saw him get clean. I was like, how the hell did he do it one time?
Yeah.
And his life just took off as soon as he got clean. He's got 2 kids.
Oh, nice.
He has a brand new house in West Palm Beach. He's married. He just sold his business. He's just chilling in sunny Florida.
How's your relationship with your parents?
Oh, it's like
great.
Amazing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm a huge like mama's boy. And,
yeah.
And my father is like my biggest fan. And
goes to your fights?
Every single fight.
The UFC ones?
Yeah.
Brazil?
They didn't go to Brazil.
Okay.
But
Austin?
Every other one. They're coming to Austin.
Okay.
They went to Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And they've been to every other fight. So.
Do you have a significant other?
I do not.
Is it hard given what you've been through, and is it hard to find? Sometimes
I tell my story and girls are like, "Oh my God, you're so powerful," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Sometimes they're like, "As an MMA fighter and he's an ex-junkie, like I don't know about this." But like honestly, like where I'm at right now, like it's super hard to have a girlfriend.
Sure. I
don't have a relationship like I had one, I screwed it all up.
Okay.
But I do my thing.
Okay. No, hey. No, I'm just always curious because, like, at some point you're gonna have to tell your story, right? You're dating someone. People, especially if you're like in the Jewish scene, there's not a lot, of those.
Especially there.
Yeah, right.
I can't. I haven't dated a Jewish girl in a while. I was dating an Israeli girl in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're a little tougher.
For 6 years.
They've they have to go to the army. They're a little more out of the bubble.
Yeah.
But the ones like here in like the New York area,
it's a little different.
A little more sheltered.
A little more laid back.
Yeah. Do you do or have you ever been approached about like motivational speaking or?
Yeah, I mean, I speak at rehabs. I speak. I go to AA meetings. I speak. I've gone and spoke to kids before. That's my goal though. Like my goal, my short-term goal is to be a UFC champion. 5-year, 6-year goal, whatever it is. But that's all going to end eventually, and I want to use fighting as a platform to reach other people. Because when I happen to have I have this talent. I'm good at fighting, so I might as well use it to make a name for myself, so I can, get my word out, get my message out, and show other people that like there's hope. Because like if I could do it, anyone can do it. And it's funny because one of my ex-girlfriends actually, she always used to say to me like, "Why are you fighting?" Like, and it was always like one of those questions where I was like, "What do you mean, why am I fighting?" Because I like kicking people's ass. Like, "Oh, I'm Jared Gordon."
Right.
And she's like, "No, like why though? Like, what's your reasoning?" And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Stop getting all deep here.
Yeah. And then I realized what she means. Like what are you really like trying to get out of this? And I realized that it's to help other people.
Yeah.
And what I see is like a lot of these fighters, I'm sure you could like guess which ones I'm talking about. They don't care about anyone else. Like there's no like using what they've done to help other people. It's all about them, and that's cool. If that's how you want to live, like that's up to you. But if you're like a selfish person, I think you're gonna have a miserable life in the end. So like in staying sober, like the only way I'm gonna stay sober is to keep helping other people. Because if I take and take and take, then eventually, and I never give back, then I'm gonna lose what I have eventually. So in order to keep what I have to give it away. So yeah, I want to fight and make a living, and yeah, fame is great, and money obviously is, you need money, and I want to become champion. That's like a goal of mine, obviously. If you don't want to become champion and you're in this sport, then you're probably not going to make it far.
Sure.
So that's what I want to do in the short term, but I really want to do that so I can, get the message out.
Wow.
If LeBron James was out there on the corner, you guys got to stop doing drugs and doing this and living like,
of course.
People would all be standing around listening to him.
Right.
But like, you take some random guy and put him on the corner, the people are going to be like, this guy's crazy. So, I got to make a name for myself. And
have you ever met Court McGee or Matt Brown?
I met Court.
Okay.
I met Matt like in passing.
Okay, but
I didn't really get
talked
into
to
it
them about.
In court, I talked to
have,
them.
okay.
Yeah, in court, yeah. I was able
Similar. I mean, obviously, not all stories are the same.
Yeah.
I don't want to lump you all
basically
together.
Same.
But he overcame a lot.
Me and Court definitely have the same principles. Like we're in the same programs, and he's someone that I've looked up to for years because I knew his story going back, and they call him Matt the Immortal, but because he overdosed twice, but I overdosed 3 times.
Yeah. Man, like what you do for a living is somewhat terrifying, right? Like you go in there and you fight in a cage. I don't have that in me. Like I wouldn't be able to do it, right?
Not for everyone.
But the fact that you've been through all that, this is easy stuff, right? Or do you not, like, do you get nervous?
Right, I'm not scared to get hurt, but let me tell you, I'm scared. I'm scared to fight. Like, not scared to fight, but like, when I'm backstage, I'm like having panic attacks, man. Like anxiety, like my anxiety's through the roof. I'm anyone that tells you they're not like somewhat scared or like worried about getting in there is out of their mind. Like something's wrong with them.
Okay.
Every time every time I'm like in between fights, I'm like, I gotta get a fight.
Yeah.
I need to fight, and then I get the fight, and I'm like, yeah, I got the fight, and then I'm like, oh, I got to fight. And then all of a sudden it hits me like, now I gotta train for this guy, and it's scary, man. All the anticipation.
So like, you feel it settling in right now because you have the fight? It's
yeah, man. It's every night. Yeah. I'm like, I go to bed and I'm staring at the ceiling, and I'm like, geez, I gotta fight this guy who's training, to take my head off, and yeah, dude, I'm
so is it worth it?
I don't know, man. Honestly, like, I've done things that are way more dangerous and scary, and I've been in situations that were definitely like more life-threatening. But yeah, I love fighting, man.
Because if you don't enjoy the journey,
no, I enjoy it, but I have feelings too. Fight doesn't mean I don't have anxiety and
yeah. I know a very big name fighter who told me once that he delays signing the bout agreement as long as possible because once he signs it, something changes.
Yeah, it's true, man. I have the same. I just said that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't wait to get a fight. And then you get the fight and you're like, the guy that you're going to fight, even though he might not even be that like amazing,
right,
is like your biggest nightmare.
Right.
For me, at least. I'm like, I have to like do like all sorts of like like I gotta manifest my wins, like everything. Like there's no, I mean, like I'm training for every guy like their Godzilla, you know?
And so you're based here in New York, right?
Yes, sir.
Still with Rhino?
No. That's long gone.
Okay.
I'm with Church Reboxing.
Okay.
Jason Strout's my head coach. And then my Henzo Gracie.
Okay.
Right here.
Yep.
And Mike Jarmil is my coach from there. And I train at Edge with Cody Hammer.
What happened there?
And, I just have like a cut from my boxing glove.
Okay.
I was training this morning. I didn't want to get
blood all over
infection,
the place.
So I was just put this on.
I think you didn't want to get blood all over my desk.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that either.
All right. This has been a pleasure, man. Really. I feel like we could talk for like 2 hours here about your story. And I appreciate you you opening up.
Of course.
You know, I know it's probably not a fun thing to do, but I think it's important for a lot of people to know your story. And this game, as you know, is all about, I think, like emotional connections and telling stories and people having rooting interests. And I think that you're someone that people can root for, people can get behind. And I'm really thankful that you would do this. So thank you. And I'm happy it wasn't the day you were leaving on your flight to Brazil, because I was a little too. It's better now. It's better, yeah. Well, I was waiting for the fight announcement, and then once it happened, I wanted to have you in. I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Really a pleasure getting to know you, and looking forward to it. February 18th, Austin, Texas. Carlos Diego Ferreira, and good luck. Keep in touch.